Good morning again, delegates. It is my pleasure and my honor to introduce to you your president, our leader, Scott DeMauro. Scott is our Captain America, Superman, Iron Man, all rolled into one. Scott, I was going to throw in Thor, but you don't really quite have the hair for that, you know?
Thanks.
Maybe you did earlier in your career, but not now.
Yeah.
So he believes in OEA's mission, vision. He believes in our pillars. He believes in our strategic priorities. There is one thing, though, that he believes in more. He believes in you. He believes in us. And he believes in public education. I know this because I work with the guy. I see it every day. He is a fabulous leader. He is a trailblazer, and I am proud to stand with him every step along the way. I learned so much. I present to you your president, your OEA president, Scott DeMauro.
Thank you, Jeff. I should probably just dispense with my speech because I can't top that. I do have to say that first, thank you for putting your trust in me, for putting your trust in us to continue this work for another 3 years. I couldn't be more blessed to work on a team with Jeff and Mark and Patricia and an amazing board and amazing staff who just are so committed to this work. And I am humbled and honored that you have given us the opportunity to continue. So, fellow delegates and guests, I also can't tell you how happy I am to be with you, with all of you who are joining us as virtual delegates, and with all of you in the room today. It's the first time we've come together in person for an RA since December 2019. And while we're still not completely back to normal, obviously, having this chance to connect outside of a makeshift studio feels really liberating right now. I thank you for taking the time to be with us, doing the important work of leading our profession. So much has happened since we were last in this space. It's important that we remember first those we have lost to the pandemic and reflect on the many challenges we have overcome in getting to where we are today. And it's especially important to take an opportunity to look forward and draw strength from one another to meet the demands of this moment. Over the past few weeks, Jeff, Mark, and I have been visiting members and students and locals all across the state. Many who make decisions about education claim to know what's happening in our schools. We know it's essential for us to see and hear firsthand the realities you face every day. And, got to be honest, 2 years of Zoom meetings were really making us more than a little bit antsy. So, from Ashland to Toledo, Columbus to Camden, Steubenville to Smithville, our listening tour has taken us to dozens of locals all across Ohio. Preschool programs, elementary, middle school, and high schools, career centers, community colleges, bus garages, rural, suburban, and urban locals. Thanks to the support of our staff and local leaders around the state, we've had conversations with teachers and education support professionals, local presidents and building reps, administrators, parents, and students. And Jeff can tell you, a lot of those kids haven't quite known what to make of us as we've been visiting these classrooms. But we've met with groups large and small. And some of the most impactful interactions have been the quiet, one-to-one hallway conversations with individual members. I have come away so inspired by the magic our members perform every day in their classrooms. This is hard work. But at every visit, I saw teachers and ESPs using their expertise and creativity to connect with kids, build relationships, create order out of chaos, provide safe and nurturing environments, and make sure their students know that they have adults in their lives who care deeply about their success. We've also seen how important it is for educators to have the freedom to do the work they were trained as professionals to do. From pre-K to college in traditional academic settings and in our amazing career and technical programs, those who've had the autonomy to use their expertise in ways that they know best meet the needs of their students seem clearly to be the ones most satisfied in their work. At every stop, we're also seeing and hearing your struggles. Frustrations with too many students who are chronically absent, time spent on testing instead of teaching, kids coming to school without enough to eat, more frequent and intense behavioral challenges this year, lack of consistency from administration, disengaged or sometimes even oppositional parents, unmet mental health needs, harmful effects of technology and social media, time wasted on bureaucratic nonsense. The list goes on. We know that many of these problems have been made worse by the pandemic, but most are problems that have been festering for a long time. We're also seeing the inequities in our system up close and personal. While modern, safe, and clean buildings are essential, disparities often aren't apparent in the look or feel of the school buildings themselves. The real injustice is in wildly divergent needs that simply aren't being met in districts with higher concentrations of poverty and students of color. It's clear that a one-size-fits-all approach to education simply does not work. And so, as we conclude this Teacher Appreciation Week, I'll say I hope all of you, regardless of your educational role, active, retired, receive some token of gratitude. But know that this year, more than any other, gratitude alone simply doesn't cut it. Earlier this year, NEA conducted a survey of members from across the country and found that a whopping 55% of educators were thinking seriously about retiring early or leaving the profession, and that 90% were feeling burnt out. In our school visits, we heard the stories of members who have poured their hearts out every day for their students, but have simply hit a breaking point and are calling it quits. And I have to tell you, there is nothing that breaks my heart more than that. Let me tell you about Lindsay. Lindsay is one of those members. She was in tears as Jeff and I were talking with her. She's a teacher who, after 5 years of teaching, initially in third grade, now in kindergarten, she decided that she had to put her well-being and the well-being of her family first and find a new career. She loves her students. It's so apparent. And she's one of the most outspoken advocates for getting them the support they need. But she was past her breaking point because they just weren't getting that support they needed, and neither was she. Lindsay teaches in Youngstown, where poverty has decimated a once thriving community, and open enrollment, vouchers, and charter schools have accelerated enrollment losses to the point where the Youngstown City Schools now enroll 5,200 students. When I started my teaching career 30 years ago, Youngstown enrolled over 38,000 students. Think about that. Stories like Lindsay's are far too common everywhere, but we hear them most in districts like Youngstown, where standardized testing has mostly sucked the joy out of teaching and learning, where scripted curriculum has stripped teachers of professional autonomy, and support systems for students outside of school are weak or non-existent. We're all tired of empty gestures for Teacher Appreciation Week, right? Educators deserve meaningful support and respect. It's time to demand more than lip service or Band-Aid approaches to address the growing educator shortage crisis. We need more help to address the social, emotional, and mental health needs of students and the adults who serve them. We need the professional autonomy to do the jobs we were trained to do. We need less time for testing and more time to unleash the creativity and imagination of our students to unlock their desire to learn. We need an end to political attacks on our freedom to teach and our students' freedom to learn a complete and honest education. We need support and engagement from parents. We need administrators who back us up. We need better mentoring and support systems for new educators and for educators throughout their careers. We need politicians who have no clue about what happens in our classrooms to listen to us or get the hell out of our way. We need every educator and education support professional to receive salaries and benefits that reflect their worth. And 25 years after the first DeRolf decision that declared Ohio's school funding system unconstitutional, once and for all, we need to fully and fairly fund our public schools. This is the social, racial, and economic justice cause of our time. My friends, I'll tell you, it all boils down to respect. If we're going to reverse the trend of fewer people choosing education as a career and more people choosing to leave our profession early, educators must be given the respect and support we need and deserve. And systemic inequities in our system must be acknowledged and ended. The future of our students is at stake. The future of Ohio is at stake. I will tell you, the future of our democracy is at stake. In the words of the late, great Mississippi civil rights leader Fannie Lou Hamer, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. The only way we will shape a better future is by leading this fight. None of us can do it alone, but together we can. As Frederick Douglass famously said, power concedes nothing without a demand. And if we don't demand better, no one else will. This is why we exist. This is why, after 175 years, OEA must continue to lead the way as the voice for educators, students, and public education in our state. We've led this fight before, and we must continue to lead this fight now. Throughout our history, from the early founders of the Ohio State Teachers Association, who successfully advocated that the 1851 Constitution provide funding for a thorough and efficient system of common schools, to those who were instrumental in creating the state teachers' retirement system in 1921, to the educators and public employees who, after years of walking picket lines and going to jail, finally won the passage of the collective bargaining law in 1983, to all, including many here today, who stood up to protect our collective bargaining rights by repealing Senate Bill 5 in 2011, we have proven that when we organize and fight together, we win. We're all here together, virtually or in person, because each of us feels called to serve our students, every single one of our students, regardless of their race or their gender or their background or their income or who they are or who their parents love, every single one of our children. We're called to serve our union. We're called to serve our colleagues. We're called to serve our communities. Yes, we hear it a lot. Education is a calling. But as of today, we must never concede that accepting that call means that it will ever be okay to give us words of gratitude without also giving us meaningful support and respect. My friends, I wake up every day inspired by you and the immeasurable impact that you make. I'm in awe of the way you change lives. Look around you. And never, ever forget that you are not alone. It feels that way sometimes, doesn't it? Sometimes it feels so desperate. But you're not alone. We are not alone. We are in this together. Thank you for everything that you do.